Will Season 3 of Rick and Morty be in full VR?
Did we miss a fight between Vladimir Putin and Master Chief?
Analysts are saying that Pokemon Go has Peak-a-chuing.
Nintendo wants executives to go back and take Marketing 101.
I'm Sam Chen.
And I'm Paul Mooney.
All these stories and more PS3 games in a Capcom's Humble Bundle. Stick around, you're watching the Nerdy News Roundup.
We begin the show with Sony, that VR company with that little black box labeled PS4. Reports out this week from the Wall Street Journal suggest that Sony is planning on selling a new updated model of the base console, alongside their higher-end Neo that's been teased for a few months now. While no specs or details have been confirmed by Sony, the debut of these two systems is expected at its media event scheduled for September 7th. Sam, is Sony following in Microsoft's footsteps, or does Xbox just beat PlayStation to the punch?
I mean, you gotta think that these hardware SKUs were in development for a long time. I mean, it's not like they're like, oh, Xbox has the One S. You better come out with a new console too. So I think it's just some factor of timing. You know, Xbox kind of beat that. I think there was probably some level of ramping in when they figured out when Neo was going to come out and what Neo is going to be, so they could produce this console and also produce Neo to hit probably the holiday season. I don't remember what the Neo date's going to be.
Yeah,
I would guess holiday season.
It's probably going to be sometime around when VR comes out, so they can kind of put them together. You get the full VR experience for those who are actually able to purchase it. But yeah, you're right. It's just that whole just bringing things to market, or making information available to market, and it's more about timing rather than planning so much, I think. So it's more just Sony. This is the time period where we're going to release this set of information to the public.
Yeah, I mean they are basically doing the reverse of Microsoft, which is saying, like, they're coming out with the VR, they're announcing it, they're pushing it out, and once they knew VR production was good, then they announced their new console. Whereas Xbox was like, okay, we're going to put out a new console, you're going to have to play VR on that one, and then we'll figure out the specs later.
A new console that we don't even know exists completely yet, or we do, but we're just not going to tell you. I think Sony's rollout, it seems to be a lot cleaner, and I think these, especially with this current generation and looking like going forward, how Sony is a little bit more, I wouldn't say honest, but they're a little bit more clear about the direction they're going. And they're saying this is what we have and this is why we're having it. So yeah, I think they're doing a better job of it.
Agreed. There is only one organization in our country dedicated to protecting the rights of individuals against racism and bigotry. No, not the Supreme Court, it's Blizzard Entertainment. Twitch has no choice but to Facebook the music, as Blizzard announced its newest feature, Blizzard Streaming, which allows you to bring your favorite Battle.net games right to Facebook Live. Paul, we knew there was a rift between Twitch and Blizzard following a Hearthstone tournament. Can Blizzard really hope to squash racist comments through Facebook?
I'm not sure they can. I mean, racism on the internet, that's like peanut butter and jelly. Like, those two things just kind of go together. But I do like to see that Blizzard is at least trying to contain its ecosystem, or continuing to try to contain its ecosystem.
I mean, we talked about this yesterday, or last week, with the GGEZ comment and how they've already started doing stuff with Hearthstone. I think they want their environment to be friendly for players of all ages, for all types. I think, but the point is, if YouTube is already kind of behind the ball in how it surfaces gaming content on its platform, I can only imagine Facebook's even further behind.
Yeah, they're significantly further behind. I mean, policing stuff on Facebook, unless it's done by the actual police, doesn't seem to be accomplished all that well. But I still give Blizzard kudos for trying. Because even though it may end up in failure, they still got loads of money and they're trying to do something positive. Which is more than I can say for a lot of other companies out there.
Yeah.
So.
And there is this sense maybe that, the company's going to bring more casual streaming to market, right? Like right now, if you look at how you stream on Twitch, right? Chances are you're probably having some sort of capture card. Yeah. Even if you are playing on PC, you're popping it through OBS, you've got to get all these settings right, all this other junk. They're just going to make it easy. Like, just log in, click the Facebook button, and you're going to put it up, and then your friends are going to watch you play Overwatch.
True, yeah. Who knows? They might actually grow their audience of people who hadn't considered streaming in the past with an easier interface for them to actually get into. So, again, Blizzard trying. Yeah. I still feel like that's the bottom line. They're trying something new.
We give this two thumbs up.
You got to catch them all unless you're one of the over 15 million users who have given up on the game since its peak a month ago in late July. Business analysts at Bloomberg have breathed a sigh of relief for the game's competitors, Facebook, Snapchat, and yes, even Tinder, as daily active users have been on a steady decline for the viral AR game. Sam, I believe we predicted the Pokemon Go plus Wrist-O-Matic launch-o-meter wouldn't arrive in time to save the game. Were we right all along?
I mean, we're definitely right all along. I think this is a really good story for future game development companies to understand why it's important to have like a steady schedule of rollout, right? Here are the features you need to roll out. Here are the things you need to deal with, and kind of get in front of all of this when you launch your game. I think in all likelihood, if they had stuck to kind of their 2-week update schedule and brought features out every 2 weeks instead of every like month and a half, you would still see a ton of people playing the game.
You're absolutely right. I think the business plan for this went like this. Step 1, release game. Step 2, get money. Step 3, repeat step 1. Like, it's like, they didn't actually think about like the steps they needed to go through to make this an enduring game, or something that they could actually have that people would like, oh, I'm going to interact further down the road because they said they're going to release X, Y, and Z things. I don't think that plan ever even existed. I mean, the monthly updates were, okay, but there's no scheduled release. Like, I have nothing to look forward to as a player.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it's also, it probably was too successful in the beginning for them to really handle. So instead of spending their time trying to figure out how to introduce new features, how to make everything work the right way, they spent a lot of time trying to scale their servers in order to launch into new markets. And I think ultimately, while that's important, it's a mistake because the real selling factor behind your game is more people playing it.
Right.
Not people not like getting another country on board. They get bored with it in a week, and then you open another country, and then,
get bored in a week. Yeah. Like, start in one place, find out how you can develop and nurture that environment first, then talk about expansion. Like, after you get a steady control of like, okay, people seem to be enjoying the progress we're making, now we can expand the market somewhere else. It didn't seem like that conversation ever actually occurred.
And I think it's the same thing with this, like the Pokemon Go Plus, right? Had they released it at the beginning of September or whatever the original release date was, I think people would have bought it, played it, been a little bit more interested, like breathed new life into it, just like when you get new DLC content.
Right.
Again, when they push it out because they're busy focusing on something else, they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Right. No, you want to get any kind of like auxiliary device that you have attached to a specific franchise, I think only helps it. You want to get that to market, especially in the initial market where you had the most success sooner rather than later. Because once it becomes an afterthought, there's no going back on that kind of decision.
Right. And you saw it with their third-party server decision, right? They're like, all right, we're going to get rid of the tracking. Oh, no, we're going to bring it back, but we'll do it first-party.
Right.
Like, third parties aren't taking care of it for you. Like, fix that way down the road.
Right.
Get us trading. Get us better gyms. Like, no one cared about that, and it wasn't ruining your game. It was making more people play it.
Right. No, and then, we realized more people want. Let's go back. You can't go back.
Hello, foot. Boom.
After it's done, it's done. There's no rewind. Once these decisions are made, that's it. It's a wrap.
Yep. And now we turn to Ubisoft, that company that gets some things right, like Aisha Tyler, and other things wrong, like multiplayer game experiences. The company's Destiny killer that did more dying than killing, The Division, is back in the news. Ubisoft announced that the next 2 expansions are going to be delayed so they can focus on improving core gameplay experiences. Following a buggy release of the expansion Underground, Survival, which was slated alongside the game's 1.4 patch, will be delayed to later this year, and Last Stand, which was due in late 2016, will now be pushed to early 2017. Paul, is Ubisoft finally learning its lesson? Is going back to the basics going to be good for The Division?
I'm not sure if The Division can be saved. I didn't pick it up in the first place, so I may be the wrong person to ask about this in general. But I don't know if that what they were actually gaming for with The Division was fully pulled off. I remember we reported earlier in our earlier episodes that they said there's going to be life. This is going to be a different life culture around Ubisoft after The Division. I don't know if they've actually made that transition completely yet, because it seems like they're still going. Well, they have released movies. So I guess that's life after The Division. But in terms of like gaming software, I don't know. It just seems like another like scheduled release. It's like a different version of Assassin's Creed, like when Assassin's Creed 2 had Brotherhood come out. I think that game had more success than The Division did. Right. Post initial release.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where you have to look at what made Destiny successful, and you have to replicate core elements of the entire ecosystem to make that successful.
Right.
Not just like, all right, I need another massive online game. I need fire teams or parties, and we're going to give you 4 and like none of that is really what made Destiny successful.
Right.
And when they tried to replicate just the game, they didn't do a good job of that.
No, they just kind of did like a lot of the surface elements. I mean, even though I haven't played it, I had seen quite a bit of video on the Division. I've seen what the Darkstone play and how the PvE was. It was never really. I think Destiny was kind of buggy when it had PvP initially, but I'm not sure if it was as bad as what happens over even the scoring in the Division after its initial release. So it's like they got like a lot of the overtones right. They did make a lot of things that seemed to be appealing on paper, but the execution of them, I'm not sure if they ever righted that ship.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at a game like Destiny and how, let's just compare it to drugs, right? So, like, Destiny cut its core drug just with the right amount of RNG, right? And that got you to keep playing and playing. Mm-hmm. Division didn't do that. Division tried to make that endgame content and then add the RNG on top of it, and it made it structured in a way where, like, you have to go in the dark zone with a bunch of people. Well, what if you don't have a bunch of people? So you're not going to have fun doing that now? And now you've taken away a core function of my endgame content? I think there's a lot that they need to learn to resurrect the Division. Now, the one thing I'll say they have going for them is that Destiny is not going to compete with them in the PC market.
Not at all.
So if they release content that's good enough and they can like tease some PC players back in and PC players are like, oh, that's great, maybe they can kind of, give it a little bit of life.
True.
But on console, if Destiny comes out and is a smash hit like it was last year, sorry Division, sorry Ubisoft.
Rise of Iron got me to go back. I said I wouldn't, and I'm going back on my word.
Look how tired this man is.
Not easy the eyes of a tired man on an endless exotic bounty quest. But I'll say this last thing. You know what would make it really good on PC? If they had mods. If you could modify the Division, completely break the game overall, I'd be interested in that. I'm pretty sure every PC player would be interested in that. But again, the end goal, I don't think that's what they're going for, so I don't think they're going to make that happen.
Division, the next Half-Life 3.
It's time for a break. We pay the bills and see if we can still limbo under Nintendo's falling stock price.
When we come back, was the only reason the Wii U failed bad marketing? It's back to business school basics for Nintendo. Stay tuned, you're watching the Nerdy News Roundup. This week's sponsor we wish we had is Harmonix. Do you wish you could be part of your own Rocky drama like Behind the Music? Well, you can with the next expansion to Rock Band 4, Rock Band Rivals. Coming to you in October, not only will the game include a playable rock documentary, Beneath the Tunage, but will also bring a rival mode which lets you compete with your friends in asynchronous online weekly challenges. That's Rocker 4 whenever the hell I feel like it. Pre-order Rock Band Rivals today and get 10 free DLC songs, including everyone's favorite song, Happy by Pharrell Williams. So if you know anyone at Harmonix, tell them we sent you and beg them to give us some money or some free DLC codes. And for our main story tonight, we turn to Reggie Fils-Aime, the Nintendo of America president, who makes us all wish that gaming executive names could be as easy to pronounce as Andrew House. Following the less than successful Wii U console, the newest and perhaps last hope for the Nintendo home console market, Reggie commented on the NX during a recent interview. During a sit-down with A-List Daily, he said, "One of the things we have to do better when we launch the NX, we have to do a better job of communicating the positioning for the product. We have to do a better job of helping people understand its uniqueness and what it means for the gameplay experience. While details of this uniqueness are still limited, rumors suggest that the console will feature detachable controllers, a strong first-party release lineup, and the ability to not only be portable, but plug into your home for a bigger screen experience." Paul, the beauty of the Wii was the fact that everyone understood its uniqueness without having to explain its market positioning. Is the NX success really just a business school marketing problem?
I think it's a big part of it, yeah. When the Wii U launched, post-Wii, no one knew what it was. Even for like 2 years after, people would still be like, what is that? Is that a Wii? Why is it on its side? Like, what's that thing in front of it? They didn't really do a good job saying exactly what the Wii U was going to do to the masses upon launch. So I think it's one part of it, yes, marketing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the problem is at this point, whatever the features, gameplay-wise, that the Wii or that the NX is going to bring are already set in stone, right? Mm-hmm. They can't really adapt for what the market is. So at this point, they really just have to rely on that the business strategy that they did to develop the NX and to develop what games came with the NX was right on. And then the marketing is going to help supplement that. But if they got that wrong for some reason, or if they're producing 100 million consoles when they're only going to sell like 5.
Yeah.
They're going to be in a world of hurt regardless.
Right. And I'd say right off the bat, like, I don't know too many people who are like going to the gates to buy the NX right now. Like, remember when the Wii came out? It was priced well. People would like, it was sold out everywhere. You'd see it on eBay for like 3 times the amount of money it cost, even though it was the cheapest system in the market. I don't see that kind of hype for the NX just yet. I think a lot of people have strayed away from what the Nintendo hype was previously.
Yeah.
So if they do a good job marketing and what they have is a good product for the audience that they're engineering it for, they could do well. Of course, they also do good rollout too, because again, like you said, oversaturation of the product without the essential demand to back it up, it could be a problem. So if they get those key components into place, it could be the life-saving bolt for Nintendo.
I mean, the plus side that Nintendo has that some of the other makers don't is they have a very, very loyal fan base that's generally happy with what they did. You know, there are people who bought the Wii U and love it. There are people who bought the SNES and love it, who still have them, right? So they get the unique opportunity to actually win trust over again.
Yes.
People are going to check it out. They're going to watch videos. They're going to do all this stuff. I mean, maybe they're going to come out and be like, you know what? We're gonna pull the plug on our like restrictions for putting the games online. Stream like you want, YouTube like you want. We aren't gonna like claim everything. That might be a good tactic to help move stuff along.
That's also a big problem that they had, like that restrictive audience, or how they are restricted over their licensing. That goes against that point we said about those YouTubers. Although they are getting paid by YouTube, they are doing free advertising for you. So kind of taking those shackles off of them, it should do them a lot of good. I mean, I can see why they're controlling it, but at the same time, you're taking away from marketing purposes that you didn't have to do anything for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing that needs to be said about this is how they're going to deal with kind of third-party developers, right? And I think they might be in a position right now where they need to actually give third-party developers a bone, right? They throw them a bone by maybe like relinquishing full control of one of their IPs, by licensing out something that's popular and getting another company to be like, oh yeah, you're going to let me like develop the next Zelda? I mean, probably not Zelda, but let's say it was. You're going to let me develop the next Zelda? That's going to make me boatloads of money.
Or a Zelda spin-off of some kind. Even if they keep control of like the essential Zelda line, but if they had, I don't know, something that just was about Ganon or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we've seen a history of this with Disney, right? Where they did in-house, they licensed, they're in-house, they licensed, and now with the plug finally pulled on Infinity, they're probably going back to just a license-only company. Nintendo could take that kind of route with some of its IP and maybe win developers over to a uniqueness console.
Right. Well, I have heard that licensing through Nintendo has been kind of a sticking point for a lot of third-party companies, where the steps they have in place are still very archaic and almost draconian to the point where it's very difficult for them to work with them because of the requirements they have in order to make games. Whereas, Sony, to a lesser extent, Microsoft, they don't really have those kinds of problems. I mean, you see how many third-party companies are definitely willing to work with Sony, and against Microsoft usually gets some level of parity for those titles because they aren't as restricted as Nintendo is about their products.
When you think about the big moves that have been made in console gaming in the last year or so, right? You've got Sony placing a big bet on VR. Mm-hmm. You've got Microsoft/Xbox placing a big bet on PC gaming, being kind of the Windows platform thing, being a big part of it. And you've got NX on uniqueness, right? Sony and Microsoft are both put in a position where they can bring more monies in the pocket of third-party developers.
This is true.
Nintendo's just like, we're going to be cool.
Yeah, well, but Nintendo, I will say this, they do own the mobile market for console-based games. Well, not console, but I guess the DS is technically a console. It's just a mobile one. So the fact that this is kind of geared towards that, maybe they're going to try to draw from their 3DS crowd and have it just be more mobile-based, and they're going to get some whatever niche audience they have for that. Why would I say it's niche? Like most people I know who own a mobile console own a 3DS. I mean, the future of that, I don't know, because with the way like tablets and smartphones are going now, I'm not sure how much longer they're going to hold out with that. But I do know that there's still a large audience that still makes that conscious decision where I'm looking for the new 3DS titles. So if they can kind of draw off of that, maybe it's not the worst move ever. Are they thinking that way? I can't say. Don't work at Nintendo, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, it is a possibility. But the problem is, again, it's about what size of market can you sell to, right? let's say every single person who owns a 3DS bought X game, right? Would it really far exceed the success of, let's say, even Pokemon Go? I don't know.
Maybe not. It depends. Again, It depends on how the product is launched, what it's capable of, and how they're going to cater to that audience in order to get that kind of success. Are they going to overcome all that? I don't know, but I will say it is a very tall mountain. If that's what they're looking to do, it better be mind-blowing. This better be like the best mobile/home device interface ever conceived.
Yeah.
Are they going to achieve that? I don't know. It's been kept under wraps so much, so it's hard to say.
I mean, they're going to need to start releasing details soon if they have any hope of changing hearts and minds through market position.
And that's a really big thing. Having slow leaks and developer diaries for things like this, that's going to play a big factor at least getting your hype train. Well, I wouldn't call theirs a hype train. It's more like a hype trolley, they will say, because it's going to be slow to start. And I'm not sure it's going to go all that fast, but they need to get it going somewhere other than just rumors and speculation with modular devices.
They can't really be making any drastic changes to the hardware anyway if they have any hope of actually launching when they say they are.
So it means it's already done. You need to start talking about it now. Get people interested in doing it now because you've already got the Nintendo loyal. Most of those people probably going to buy it anyway. You want to see if you can build on that. And the only way you can build on that is if you start getting people talking about it, start getting them excited about it. From what I've seen, it's just been, it's got modular devices that can latch onto either side of the controller.
Okay.
That's great.
It's a tablet.
I mean, I've seen, Sony did that with the PlayStation controller and you could use a Sony phone. I didn't care about it then. It didn't make a difference for me now. Bring us something that I'm actually interested in or something, that's cool. That's not a that's cool moment. Modular devices for your controller, that's crap. It's something, but it's not something to talk about. So they need to start on that path. If whatever they're going to do, and they need to start doing it now. Saying we need to do better, that's great. Start doing better now.
If you don't do better now, you won't sell things later.
This is that time to do better. Start doing better, letting me know what it is you're trying to sell.
Yeah. Do you think the NX will return Nintendo to gaming glory? Let us know if you're planning on picking up some Nintendo stock in the comments below. Can't get enough of nerd culture? Then check out all the great content we have on the Nerdy Nights YouTube channel. Join me and Eric on Couch Co-op Confidential as we stream couch co-op games. Currently, we have our magic missile towers pointed at the darkness in Dungeon Defenders. Mike and I have picked up the stick of truth and are saving South Park from the Drow Elves. Check out Let's Play Podcast for a whole new way to Let's Play. And don't forget to check out our Twitch channel, Nerdy_Nights, where we host the most elaborate setup for Rock Band 4 ever. Can you say wireless in your monitors? Well, you shouldn't, but we do anyway. Click the links below for all this great content and more.
And now for everyone's favorite segment of the week, we turn to our lightning round where we answer the age-old question, does this matter? We turn to the country where Microsoft plays you. Russian gamers will no longer be getting the exclusive free-to-play Halo Online game. The game, which only started its closed beta in April, is no longer slated for release. Sam, did Vladimir Putin say something to piss off Master Chief?
I think he said something to piss off Cortana. I mean, Cortana will not accept rudeness.
You can see how mad she was in those last trailers.
So I don't really think this matters. I think I'm not really sure what the business strategy behind bringing a kind of free-to-play online game that was multiplayer only to only the Russian market. I mean, I know why they were doing it. It's because they probably had licensing things that they couldn't get around in the U.S. But ultimately, the U.S. is a huge gaming market. Spending a lot of development dollars and things on something in Russia, maybe they were looking at the closed beta and were like, we don't even have enough people interested in the closed beta. We're not going to make any money on this thing.
Maybe it was just a test market to see if there was an audience for it there. Yeah, I don't think it matters at this point. Had it have caught on, maybe it would have some kind of future or something like that. But it, maybe it had some U.S. propaganda that Putin didn't like. Shut this down now. Maybe that's how that went down. But no, it doesn't. It's closed. It was never a thing here from the major gaming market, so it doesn't matter now.
Are you a fan of Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Phantoms or End War Online? How about the mighty quest for epic loot? Or Might and Magic Duel of Champions? Well, you aren't anymore, as Ubisoft announced this week that it would be closing the websites, social media channels, and servers for these 4 free-to-play games. Paul, is this a sign of the decline of free-to-play games, or is Ubisoft just sliding? even further.
Even further. I don't really think it matters all that much. Free-to-play games are always going to be kind of a thing. It's just they went about it the wrong way. So.
Right. I mean, I think in a sense, maybe this does matter a little bit because it might be a good sign that Ubisoft is like, we're not making a lot of money. People aren't playing these games. Let's shut them down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because all of these game companies probably have like a culture that's been built from time and time, people proud of their work, things like that. Knowing when to pull the plug on something that's not successful is a smart move for a business.
Oh, yeah, I guess it would matter for Ubisoft specifically. I mean, in terms of free-to-play gamers,
Yeah, free-to-play games aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, for Ubisoft, it's sensible. Like, don't waste resources on something that's not very popular. That's just kind of a no-brainer on their part. Even for Ubisoft. I still love
the company with no brain. Oh, sorry.
Ubisoft, we still like
the sponsor we wish we had next week is Ubisoft. We're sorry, Ubisoft.
We're sorry.
We love you.
You definitely have a brain. You're not the strong man. If you're a frugal shopper but don't like being held down by the man, Walmart, then you probably frequent Target, known to fancy people as Target. More importantly, though, you may have noticed a change at your local store, specifically the fact that the iconic red barricades in front of the store have been turned to look like giant pokeballs. Sam, is that a pokeball at your local Target, or are they just happy to see you?
I don't believe that's what the script says, Paul. No, I'm just kidding. So I think this doesn't matter at all. We talked earlier in the show about declining daily active users. I mean, how much difficulty was it to paint some white and a ball? Yeah. Look, I mean, they're pandering to customers. If they sell a couple more Pokemon t-shirts, good for them. Yeah. But ultimately, who cares? Right.
No, it's not a big deal. I mean, obviously just a gimmick to get, Pokemon and the however many kids are still playing it. Let's go over here because maybe there's a rare Pokemon at this Target because they're clearly advertising. Yeah. Not that big of a deal.
Well, I think to your point right there, it's ironic because I feel like the population of people playing Pokemon Go swings older anyway. So it's
that's true.
They're not as susceptible to look, there's a Pokeball. Who's around over here? They're if your target is on Pokestop, just be you.
Right. That's true. Yeah, no, not a big deal.
Squanchtendo, which sounds like a funny fictional game company set in the Rick and Morty universe, is actually the newest VR game development studio. Founded by Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland and Epic Games veteran Tanya Watson, the company promises us AAA VR experiences. Paul, is this scrappy startup the real deal? Are they going to accept my job application?
They might.
Yes!
If you put in a good cover letter and then show them you worked at Nerdy News. It might be a good thing. I think it has the potential to matter. Right now it doesn't matter because we don't know all about it. So right now it doesn't matter. But in the future, might be a big deal. If they can kind of set that standard for what a AAA VR game will be in the future, which is obviously just complete speculation at this point, it could be a thing. So,
I mean, I think this is a good idea. I think the fact that people are really looking at VR from like a storytelling perspective or even like an input perspective of like what can you really do by moving your head around, that might be a good signal for what VR might be in the future. But ultimately, I don't know how they're going to even classify this as a AAA title, right? The very little that they've kind of released and let out there that they're going to create some sort of adventure game. They have like 2 other games in the pipeline. It's like taking a Ferrari engine and putting it in a Prius.
Yeah.
It's still a Prius. It's
true.
Sorry. Yeah. Like, there's only so much it can do. I'm not going to say that they're not going to create enjoyable games and that people are going to buy them. I'm just saying that, like, there's a little bit too much hype calling it AAA.
Right. Now, there's definitely a standard of service for what's going to be considered a AAA title. Are they going to meet that with VR, especially since we don't know what a AAA title should be like for a VR experience? Because it's going to have to be more than just visuals, gameplay content, because it's got to be interacted with virtual reality, which is something that people have barely gotten a grasp of. It's not really available to the market all that much, other than the few titles that are on what's the HTC Vive and things like that,
right.
Like Oculus. But for that full AAA experience, that in-depth, like, I'm going to talk about this game for months because it was freaking awesome.
Let's hope they're there. Betting they won't.
Probably not.
Not for at least this 3-game lineup.
Again, in the future, maybe a good ideal to shoot for. Is it going to happen with this initial release? Unlikely. PlayStation fans will be getting a boost from PlayStation Plus next month, but not in a good way. Starting September 22nd, the price of a one-year membership goes up to $59.99 from $49.99, and the 3-month membership will be $24.99 from $17.99. Sam, is Sony just getting greedier? Or is this definitive proof they've won this generation of console wars?
I mean, it's pretty clear already that they won this generation of console wars. So I think this matters if you're a Sony shareholder. Yeah. You're going to get a little bit more money. I think in all likelihood, Xbox is going to fall in line and keep going. Because I think ultimately, maybe Sony's trying to play a little bit of chicken with Microsoft, right? Microsoft hasn't really hinted at what their unified Windows platform will mean for Xbox Live.
True.
Right? They're making a ton of money. And in the last generation, it probably kept them afloat that they had that $50 coming in every year from dedicated gamers. They didn't even give them that much, right? No. Now at least PlayStation Plus is giving you free games.
True.
Or it always has.
But you get games with gold for Xbox.
Yeah,
too.
But that's not how they started.
Yeah, I know. Initially, it wasn't that way.
So I think maybe Sony's trying to call Microsoft bluff. They're like, all right, we're going to come bring in some more money. What are you going to do?
I don't think Microsoft could take that chance. I don't think they're going to. Well, they could follow suit, but I don't think they have the base to make that something that's going to be much of a difference maker for them. Sony has all the gamers, so by raising their prices just $10 over what it was, or $5 in case of 3 months, that's a lot of money for them because they have that many people playing PlayStation Plus. And it's not like they're going to be like, what? $10 more a year? I'm done. Going back to Microsoft with their $50 game membership and much fewer games. Makes perfect sense to me. I mean, if anything, people would have been in for PC, but I mean, console gamers are console gamers, so they're probably not. I mean, $10 more bucks a month or $10 more bucks a year, not gonna make a difference for them, and gonna make a lot of difference for Sony because they're gonna make a fortune off of it.
Yeah.
Let's pad those numbers before VR comes out.
In order to plug in your PSVR, you must give us $5.
They're going to have a dollar slot where the VR port is. Insert $5 to play.
Who needs net neutrality when you have gaming neutrality? The owner of SteamSpy, a site that tracks the prices and sales on Steam, has announced that he will no longer be removing any games from his site, even if the developer requests it. Paul, do indie companies need to retake Stats 101? Or maybe Wikipedia, margin of error?
I'm not sure they ever took those classes to begin with. I don't think this matters to anyone, even the people who, like developers who theoretically may be complaining about something like this. It's showing the price of what your game is across, like, and then what the fluctuations are going to be as its duration on Steam.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I first saw this article, I was like, what? I mean, like, I guess maybe they're saying, like, pricing is proprietary. But no, it turns out that what they're really complaining about was, like, trying to estimate how many of their games were actually sold and how many people were playing their games. Because that obviously impacts their bottom line, that impacts their investors. And it's the sort of thing, it's like, as a Steam user, I want to know what games are popular. I want to know how big this community is.
Well, how active is this multiplayer game?
Right.
It makes a lot of sense from a user perspective. Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, like, this site isn't there for developers. It's probably there for users and maybe some affiliate links, right? Like, that's how these kind of sites make their money. Why hurt yourself?
True. I mean, so let's say, like, oh, I want to play a game that, not a lot of people are playing for whatever reason. Like, maybe it's just, like, some obscure game that's just not very popular, but you're interested in it. Maybe you're a YouTuber. You go there, you look at, oh, this fits that niche perfectly. You pay your $5-10 for, how much the games cost, and you get it. I don't see how getting more information is a bad thing or why anyone would be upset about it. I don't think it matters. Like, you see,
sorry, developers, just make better games.
Yeah. You want to sell more? Make better games. Pretty simple.
Yep. As the show comes to a close, it's time for Meme of the Week. This week's meme comes to us from the land of bad puns and your favorite PC gaming company, Xbox. Thanks to our friends down under at Xbox Australia, gamers will be warm and comfortable this winter in their very own Xbox Onesie. Some of my favorite features include this pocket for your Xbox One controller. DualShock 4s need not apply. Or this pocket for your phone on your arm, because there's nothing more convenient for a gamer than reaching across your strafing arm to reply to a tweet from Phil Spencer. Don't forget the all-important TV remote pocket. Did Xbox Australia not get the memo that we have Cortana to do that now? And if you need any more proof that Xbox is now a PC company, the Xbox Onesie features arm pads for your forearms that grip your desk when you're inevitably playing Gears 4. Because who the hell console games at a desk? If you have any ideas for next week's Meme of the Week, be sure to tweet us at nerdy_nights. And that's it for this week's Nerdy News Roundup. Don't let us go the way of Ubisoft free-to-play online games. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
I'm Paul Mooney.
And I'm Sam Chen.
Join us again next week because the last thing the world needed was another Nerdy News show, but you tuned in anyways.